Okay, guys, what we're going to talk about today is how dangerous the entire country has gotten. Now, it's not dangerous in the sense that we're going to have a civil war like Tim Pool always talks about. It's more like dangerous by the fact of the matter that, well, the FBI and the ATF have made life extremely dangerous for both the average citizen and for other law enforcement agencies. When the FBI raided the Mar-a-Lago with deadly force authorized, in plain clothes, without telling the Secret Service that they were going to be there, there was a really good chance that the Secret Service and the FBI would have gotten into a shootout with each other. Now, luckily, the Secret Service are some of the most elite of the elite law enforcement officers in the entire country. Not technically law enforcement, but you know what I mean. They're highly trained specialists meant to protect the President of the United States. And luckily, Trump picked some good ones to keep with him when he went to the Mar-a-Lago. But the FBI, and it seems like Biden's DOJ, if Biden even knew about any of this, which given how senile the old man is, it's kind of hard to say whether or not Biden actually knew, but he probably knew. Is it seems like they were trying really hard to get people killed in this situation. Meanwhile, the ATF has been causing a lot of problems for American citizens for a while. Relatively recently, a prominent, I want to say, board member of a major city was selling guns out of his house. Now, whether or not you want to say that's illegal or not, they were given a warrant to go search his place, and all they had to do, all the warrant gave them the authorization to do, was search his place and take any evidence they found. Well, he wasn't there one day, which you would think would be the perfect opportunity for the ATF just to move in, search the place, wait for the family to get home, serve the warrant, and then just move on. Instead, because the guy wasn't there, they said screw that and left. And they came back when the guy was there, used a dupe machine, which basically acts like a mobile cell phone tower, so anybody nearby on a cell phone has their phones go through this fake cell phone tower that they have, which is about the size of a briefcase. And this thing collects all the data of those phones, including the data of people who aren't even part of the warrant, because it just takes data from any cell phone nearby, and any phone nearby will automatically connect to this box instead of the actual cell phone tower. So they're using the Patriot Act just to collect random people's data. Anybody nearby that damn box is going to have their data stolen and used for further criminal investigations, even if they had absolutely nothing to do with what was going on. Now they go to this guy's house at 5 in the morning, use this dupe machine, tape up his ring bell camera. They don't have body cams on, despite the fact that it's standard policy for the ATF. They use local law enforcement, who also have standard policy to use body cameras. But it seems like neither of those groups decided to wear their body cameras. They burst into the house of this guy, 5 in the morning, and shot him. Now, he shot first, technically, but when you have random people bursting in your house in the morning and your cell phone is going through a dupe machine, which you wouldn't know about that, but they they taped up his camera so he couldn't see who was there. He had no reason to suspect that the ATF was coming. There was no reason to suspect that this prominent city council member was going to be armed. He was like a leader of the community. And what he was doing may not have even been illegal. So the guy shoots, hits one of the officers in the toe, and they just ventilate this guy. Just absolutely just obliterate him. And I gotta remind you, there was absolutely zero reason for this guy to be shot at all, because he was not part of the search warrant. His person was not to be searched. He didn't have to be questioned. Nothing to do with the warrant had anything to do with this guy. And they just went in there and killed him. If you guys have heard of Waco and Ruby Ridge, you guys are gonna know what I'm talking about. In Waco, Texas, they had a warrant to arrest a local, let's say, a spiritual leader. They could argue that he was a cultist, a cult leader, but this dude wasn't locked up in his compound 24/7. He wasn't. He went out, he went shopping, he left the compound, and all that was on the warrant is that this guy had to be arrested. But they had to wait to invade his compound to arrest the guy. They couldn't just grab him when he was out shopping. They couldn't grab him at any other point, despite the fact that they had every opportunity to take this guy. Instead, they decided to attack the compound, which had like, I don't know, 100, 200 people, however many it was. You can call them a cult or not, but there was absolutely no reason to have this kind of standoff with the police. Absolutely none. They could have grabbed the guy at any point. None of the other cult members, or, I don't know what, communists had to be there. None of them. None of them were supposed to be arrested. None of them were supposed to be shot. Anything like that. But they put this compound under siege. And it's said that the commune that was there decided to set the building on fire, despite the fact that a lot of their children were also there. Now again, these were a bunch of religious people. As a Catholic, I would probably label them as, I don't know, maybe not religious extremists, but highly motivated religious people, okay? So you could make the argument that maybe these people were crazy enough to set the building on fire and burn down all their children and loved ones alongside them. Or they could have just arrested the dude when he was out shopping and not have to do any of this. And there wouldn't have been dozens upon dozens of bodies on their hands. And some people actually blame the ATF for setting the fire. Maybe to smoke them out. Who knows? But it's been a controversy and questions have never been answered. Now as for Ruby Ridge, if you ever heard of that situation too. For Ruby Ridge, what happened is that there was a dude there who was not a white. He was not a white nationalist. He was not a white supremacist. He is what he referred to as a white separatist. Meaning that, and I don't agree with this guy. I'm just gonna say it. I don't agree with any of these people or what they're doing. But this dude, his philosophy was that the white and black communities were not getting along, that the cultures had deviated from each other quite significantly, and he didn't believe that the two cultures would ever peacefully mix with each other. Now, when the advent of Black Lives Matter came around, I mean, it kinda showed that maybe he was on to something a little bit there. And I believe that eventually we would be able to work together and form a united community. But not with the media always pushing propaganda and trying to encourage people to become more and more divided every single election cycle. I mean, the liberals right now are freaking out that Donald Trump might actually win more than 10% of the black vote. But, I mean, why is that such a problem? If a bunch of people start agreeing with each other and unity starts increasing, why is that a bad thing? Because they want us to be divided. They want us to hate each other. They want us to fight, and they want us to have arguments. They want to control minorities all for themselves. And they don't want minorities to have their own opinions. They don't want them getting uppity, basically. Just goes to show how racist the left is. Minorities don't belong to anybody. They're allowed to make their own choices whenever they want to make their own choices, including who they want for president. But anyways, this dude was just living out of the woods with his family, his wife and his kids. And he was just living his life. When an ATF agent, he didn't know the dude was an ATF agent, came to him to want to sell an exotic firearm. And this exotic firearm was a shotgun with its barrel sawed off. And from what I understand, the guy wasn't that interested in having a sawed-off shotgun, but he was like, okay, sure, I guess I can own one of those. I already own all these other firearms. So yeah, I guess I can help you out, take that off your hands. Because that was how the ATF agent was talking about it. The ATF agent basically said, it's like, hey man, I just want to get rid of this. I don't know what to do with it. Do you want to buy it? And the guy's like, I guess so. So, they had him on a gun charge, buying an illegal weapon with an illegal sawed-off barrel. You can own a pistol with a short barrel, you can own a shotgun or a rifle with a long barrel, but you can't have a medium-sized barrel. No sirree, you can't have a barrel that's halfway in between those two sizes. Nope, not at all. So, some random ATF agent in a ghillie suit, mind you, in a suit that you would wear either while working with the military or while hunting, decided to stake out the house. Well, these guys live out in the middle of the woods, so of course they have a hunting dog. And when the hunting dog smelled some random ATF agent in the local area just hanging around the house, the dog, of course, ran over and was barking at him. Because it's like, what the hell are you doing on our property? So the ATF agent shoots the dog, and the son of this dude who's just living out in the woods, minding his own business, the son runs the hell over because why the hell did a random hunter just blow my dog away? And the ATF agent decides it's a good idea, or outright panics, and starts opening fire, kills the son, who is armed, to be fair, but then he also kills the guy's wife, the father's wife, who wasn't armed. So the dude now has his dog, his son, and his wife murdered, and runs over to his house to barricade himself in and call the police because there's a maniac outside who's just shooting everybody. And then the police arrive with the ATF and siege this guy's house for like, what, 2 weeks or something absolutely insane like that? Trying to get him to surrender when he didn't do anything wrong. He bought a shotgun that he didn't even really want, as far as I'm aware. Because some dude who is like pretending to be his neighbor is like, hey man, I don't want this thing. I'm trying to make some money. Like, I'm like hard up for cash right now. Do you mind buying this off me? So, of course, the guy eventually does surrender because he doesn't want to be murdered like half of his family. He's found innocent, sues the ATF and wins. And then he went back to live in his goddamn woods. It's like, can you imagine if this dude had been killed? Just imagine for a second, this random dude in the middle of the woods. He's not even a racist. Like, he's not even a white supremacist. He's just like, look, man, I don't think that this is working out. I think white people should have their own country. Black people should have their own country, because it seems like we always get in the fights, and I don't want to have any fights. I don't want to get into any wars. I don't want to have a race riot or anything like that. I don't want violence in our country. I just want peace and harmony. And again, I don't agree with the guy. I think the races can mix. I believe that people can get along. I mean, just look at my profile picture. It's me with like an ex-girlfriend of mine who, like, we had a bad breakup, but I was interested in her, but she was a black woman and I'm a white dude. Like, that particular relationship didn't work out, but I love having it because it's just so funny to watch liberals freak the hell out at me when they find out I'm a conservative. It's like, but you're not racist. It's like, yeah, duh. Because conservatives aren't racist, you idiot. But it just seems like these agencies, when Trump gets back in the office, because he will get back in the office, when Trump gets back in the office, he should just fire half of the ATF and half of the FBI. It's high time, man. These guys, they're just trying to get people killed. They just want to kill people, they just want to get people killed. That seems like their major goal. Because the city council member, they could have just searched his damn house when he wasn't there. He didn't have to be there for them to execute their warrant. He didn't. They didn't have to kill that guy's wife and his son or his dog. They didn't have to do any of that. They didn't have to get into a standoff at Waco where a bunch of kids got burned to ashes in the fire. And they didn't have to invade the Mar-a-Lago where the President of the United States, it doesn't matter that he's the ex-president, every president is considered the President of the United States. He might not have the power anymore, but he's the goddamn President of the United States. They went in there armed in civilian clothing without telling the Secret Service that they were going to be there. They wanted a shootout. They wanted something to happen to make Trump look like he was trying to have a civil war with the United States. There was absolutely no reason for any of those situations to occur. It's insane, and it shouldn't be allowed, and these agencies are dangerous to our country and to our republic. And they need to either be, no, they need to be stripped down heavily and then overturned and have their policies reevaluated and changed. Oh yeah, didn't have a lot to say today, I said at the beginning of the video. But I promised to make a video a day, and this has been on my mind for a while. You can make the argument that Waco was a cult complex, but you didn't have to get the guy when he was actually in the complex. You can argue the guy out in the woods was violating the law and that he was stoking racial tensions, but he was just a random nobody in the middle of the woods. He didn't have to have his wife, who was unarmed, murdered. You can make the argument that Donald Trump may not be the best guy or the best president, but you don't have to risk getting a shootout with a whole bunch of basically unrelated Secret Service agents I mean, imagine if the FBI and the Secret Service got into a gunfight with each other. What would Biden say to the families of those individuals? I don't think the families would be very happy that Americans were killing Americans. That American officers were killing other American officers. And the dude who was killed in his house, none of that had to happen. They could have just searched the house when he wasn't there, when they had the opportunity. But no. They had to go in at the crack of dawn, because a night raid was technically not allowed, so instead of going when the guy was at, City Hall or something, working, they decided to go when the guy is in his house, sleeping in bed with his wife, where, maybe he would want to protect his wife from the random people who just kicked down his door. Who knows? My God. These people are dumb and they're dangerous, and they never change. Waco was decades ago. Ruby Ridge was decades ago, and they're still doing this stupid crap. Get rid of them and reorganize the whole reorganize them. Just, it's enough. Enough. I'm sick of the corruption. I'm sick of the random killings. It's not necessary. Anyways, I'm gonna start rambling because I'm heated right now. But I'm gonna call it there, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.